Okay, let's do some percent problems. Here we have Darius buys a bottle of chemical solutions contains 70% alcohol and 500 milliliters. The bottle contains 500 milliliters of solution. How many milliliters of alcohol are in the solution? We know alcohol is 70% of our solution. So we're going to write it as 70%. We're going to write 70% of 500 mLs is alcohol. We can write 70% as 70 over 100 of means multiply. So we'll write it as 70 over 100 times 500 mLs. Oh, Lord. Excuse me. You gotta do now is we can simplify or multiply across. I just like to go ahead and multiply across, and then simplify and end. 70 times 500, that's 3,500. Oh, sorry. You'll write 500 mLs as 500 over 1. Break down steps for them. 70 times 500 gives you 35,000 over 100 times 1, which is 100. Now we can simplify. For every 1 0 on top, we can cancel out 1 0 on the top, bottom. Cancel out 1. We get 350 over 1, which is just 350. I'm sorry. I like to go ahead and simplify first before I multiply across. So what we could have done also is just cancel out 2 zeros here, cancel out 2 zeros here. You get 70 times 5, which is 350 as well. That's one way we can do it. Another way we can do it, remember, percent can also be a ratio problem. You do part over whole equals your percent. So my part in alcohol, I don't know. So I'll just put an X there. Over the whole solution, which is 500, is equal to my percent, which is 70%, which we can rewrite as 70 over 100. And to solve for this, we'll just notice that 100 times 5 gives us 500. When we do the same thing on top, just multiply by 5. This is the second way you can do these problems. Do part over whole equals your percent times 5. So we get that the part that's alcohol is 70 times 5, 350. Or you can literally take 70% of 500, which means 70 of 100 times 500, which you will get 350 both ways. So let's type in our answer, 350. And let's do a second question. I'm gonna eliminate. Anastasia is grocery shopping for her father and wonders how much shopping left to do. She already has 60% of the items on her list. Anastasia sees 12 items in the cart. How many grocery items are on her list? So let's underline what's important here. She already has 60%, which is 12 items. 60% of the items on her list is 12 items. So that's something to note. So if we're going to do it, so let's, um, if we're going to do it, set it up as a ratio. Well, we can either do it as a, sorry, word problem or as a ratio. So to, let's do word. 60% of n is 12. This is doing word. So you can either treat percent as a word to math conversion problem or as a proportion problem. So here we'll treat it as a proportion on this side, okay? Proportion. All right. On the right hand side, I'm gonna treat it as a proportion. Remember, it's proportion is part over whole equals percent. So we have that. The part, so we have 12 items is 60% of our list. So we don't have the whole list. We do have 12 items out of the whole. So we're going to write 12 out of whole as 12 over our whole number. It's equal to our percent. And our percent here is 60%. So it's equal to 60 out of 100. So 12 over the whole thing equals 60 out of 100. And then we just think, how can we go from 100 to W? We look at how do we go from 60 to 12. To go from 60 to 12, we divide by 5. So to go from 100 to W, we're going to divide by 5. We get that W is 20. That's how you look at it as a proportion. But now let's look at it as transforming words into math. 60% of our items is 12. We can rewrite that as 60 over 100. Of means multiply. So 60 over 100 of our items. I'm just say n for number of items, or we can say I equals 12. So for n, so this gives us that 60n over 100 equals 12, if you want to go that way. So for n, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal by 100 over 60 on both sides. So I get that 100 simplifies 100, give me 1. 60, we're going to 60 one time, right? So I'm just left with n over here. 1 times 1, which is 1n, is equal to 12 times 160. I can simplify the zeros at the end, right? Cancel out a 0 up and down. So it just becomes 12 times 10 over 6. Rewrite this 12 as 12 over 1 and just multiply across, okay? 12 over 1 times 10 over 6. 12 times 10, 120 over 1 times 6. 6, 120 divided by 6 is 20. So writing it as a, it does seem a lot longer than writing it as a ratio, but it's good to know how to do both. Okay, so you guys check that out, make sure it makes sense. Writing it as a proportion, sorry, is a lot shorter than writing it as a. All right, let's do the next question. I'm gonna put it on. This is gonna be my last question. We'll set it up as a proportion. Then we'll think of it as a word to math to proportion. Remember, your proportion is part over whole equals your percent, or how much percent you have out of 100, right? So we have 3 out of 25 men are left-handed. What percent of men are left-handed? Remember, your percent is out of 100. Okay, so we have 3 out of 25. So we're going to rewrite this as 3 over part is 3 out of 25 wholes, right? 3 out of, remember, out of means divide, so that can help you see what it means. 3 out of 25 are left-handed, so it's equal to what percent? I don't know the percent, so I'm going to just put it over 100 and write X. Then you want to go ahead and just say, what times 25 gives me 100? You should know 4 quarters give you $1, right? For 25 cents give you 100 cents. So always remember that 25 times 4 gives you 100. What times 25 gives you 100? 20 times 4. 4 times what gives you 100? 4 times 25, okay? 25 times 4 gives you 100. What you do on the top, you got to do on the bottom, you want to do it on the top so that your fractions are equivalent or equal. So since we'll multiply on the top to go that way, we're going to bottom to go that way, we'll multiply by 4. We get that X is equal to 3 times 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. So we get 12% of the men are left-handed. So my answer should be 12. Now let's work it out as, so that's how you can work it out as a proportion. Now let's work it out as a word to math. So you would say what, write it out as words, what percent. Of 25 men is 3. So you write as what percent of 25 men is 3 men, basically, if you want to rewrite it like that. So you would write it as X over 100 of means multiply. X over 100 times 25. There's a times there. I'm just putting it down. Is, okay, equal to. These means equal to, of means multiply, 3. You would reduce this to 25x over 100. You will multiply that and get 25x over 100 has to equal 3. 25 can simplify 25 over 100, so that simplifies to x over 4. It simplifies to 4. So I get x over 4 equals 3. So I'll just have to multiply both sides by 3. X over 4 equals 3. Multiply by 3, by 4 on both sides, I get x equals 12. What divided by 4 is 3? 12. So these are two ways you could solve two different ways you can solve percent problem. Think of it as part of a whole equals your percent and solve from there. Or rewrite it as a word to math. Remember that of means multiply and is means equal to. And what, you put a variable when you don't know. So solve this next one in the way you would, however you would want to solve them. And of course, you can always use this link on Khan Academy, and it's for 6th grade percent word problems. So if you're in the 6th grade or higher, you definitely want to get a handle of that. Solve these 300 fossils. Of these, 21 are fossilized snail shells. How many fossilized snail shells does Elma have? Pause the video. Try to solve on your own. And I'm about to give you the answer. All right, let's solve it. If you have not solved it, you can pause the video till you finish. Let's do it like a proportion. That's what I would want to do. So I have 21%. You can do it part over whole equals your percent, right? So I'll go ahead and write my percent over here. 21 over 100 is my percent. So 21%, and Elma has a collection of 300 fossils. 21 out of 100 are snails. So now I'm going to write part over whole. My whole thing is 300, right? And we're trying to find what part of 300 is equal to 21 out of 100. So let's solve it. We're going to say going this way, 3 times 3, right? 100 times 3 gives me 300. So I just got to do the same thing up here to get what I'm looking for. What part out of 300 is 21%? 21 times 3, which is 63. All right. If you got 63, good work. Keep up the good job. So 63 are snail shells.